In Wilten, near Innsbruck, Austria, lies the Abbey of the Premonstratensians. The name is taken from Prémontré, the founding monastery in France, where their spiritual father Norbertus settled in the year 1120. The Premonstratensians also acquired the name Norbertines after their founder, but are also known as the White Lords because of their white habits. As early as the year 1128, they settled in Wilten, now a suburb of Innsbruck. The history of this city and the monastery have always been closely bound together. From here the fathers tend as many as 23 parishes around. The founder of the monastery was a giant of a man called Haman. He came to the district from the Rhineland, where he quarreled with another giant named Thyrsus and killed him. Haman immediately regretted his deed and founded the monastery as a penance. A dragon also lived in the area, but Haman conquered it, even cutting out its tongue. This tongue is preserved to this day.
Namen des Vaters und des Sohnes und des Heiligen Geistes. Amen. Der Herr, der den Heiligen Geist über unsere Herzen ausgegossen hat, sei mit euch. Liebe Mitbrüder, Schwestern und Brüder im Herrn, am 3. Sonntag im Jahreskreis begrüße ich Sie bei unserer Konventmesse herzlich. Der Evangelist Lukas stellt uns Jesus vor Augen, wie er Kraft des Heiligen Geistes sein öffentliches Wirken beginnt, wie er uns anruft, unser Herz seinem Wort und seinem Geist zu öffnen. Kraft des Geistes Gottes ist er gesandt, allen Menschen das Evangelium, die gute Botschaft der Befreiung aus der Macht des Bösen zu künden. Denn ein Gnadenjahr des Heils sollte über uns hereinbrechen. Zu dieser Quelle des Heiles können wir alle gelangen, wenn wir unsere Sünden unter die befreiende Macht des Geistes Gottes stellen.
The fact that Norbertus had to overcome great strain and controversy is made clear in his biography. Though of noble birth, he chose the life of a poor, wandering preacher. He was then pushed into the role of state bishop and had to set an example to his brethren in the community. These are greatly differing spiritual objectives that he could not live up to simultaneously. He could not bridge these controversies in a harmonious way.
Habt ihr schon gehört von Abraham, der aus Ur in Chaldea kam? 1000 Meilen muss er reisen in das Land, das Gott wollt weisen. 1000 Meilen zog er fort.
We are not monks, but canons. Strictly speaking, the orders are not a human invention, as many think today, but are the fruits of the Holy Spirit, as the Holy Apostle Paul calls them. The centre of monastic life is, without doubt, the following of Christ, which means to be receptive to Jesus Christ, to his word, to live in his spirit. What to me seems very important is that from this following, what we call the vows developed, albeit after a longish period of time. But the vows are not a renunciation, as we often hear said nowadays. Indeed, one cannot live from renunciation. No one can. Rather are the vows a freeing for God, for Jesus Christ, for God's kingdom, for the church, and with that, a freeing towards the people. Typical for our order of the Premonstratensians is that we consider ourselves to be a miniature church. The holy Norbertus, our founder, wished to live like the holy Apostle Paul, and it is written, even in the original Gospel of the Apostles, that they were of one heart and one soul, and at the same time wished to share everything. The holy Augustine had the same thought in his regulations. He wrote, "Thou shalt live in a monastery, be of one heart and one soul for God." To me it seems that this thought is today very important, for if we adhere to it in our inmost selves, it suggests that we consider ourselves to be a sought-after community.
Das kehrt jetzt ein bisschen ausgefaltet.
Da lacht sogar deine Konkurrenz schon, Ludwig.
Keine Schmerzen.
Ja, aber das ist nicht so, wie es sein soll.
Schmerzhaft ist es.
Schmerzhaft ist es nicht.
Wir können nicht konkurrieren miteinander.
Kostbares hast du doch, nicht?
Ja, ich
kann nicht einbilden.
But something else seems to me also of importance concerning the community, namely that we accept that each person is in his way different. And our community of Wilten is more or less known for this. Here, as they say in Tyrol, various heads are gathered and everyone has a strong personality. The Wilten community is certainly not a collection of colourless identical persons, but rather a colourful zoo, one might say, who on the whole fit well together or complement one another. But it is, I believe, essential for a sensible community life in a monastery that one accepts each individual as he is, lets him live in his own way, and maybe even stimulates and supports him in his talents.
Kosten von 19 Millionen Schilling hat drüben die Firma Schenk übernommen, dafür, dass ihnen das Bargeld auf eine Abzahlung von Seiten des Stiftes zugesichert. Und deswegen hat auch der Abbau zugestimmt, dass wir das Holz, also diesen Holzstapel, kaufen und die Firma Vogler, die ja damals uns bei diesem Sturm draußen im Februar 90 beim Stiftswald Mendelberg uns das abgekauft hat, hat auch den Großteil davon abgenommen.
In Wilten, we have endeavoured to give a concrete form to the spirit of the Holy Norbertus in the following way. First, we have the strict religious life. Second, the knowledge. And third, the care for the soul. Previously, we used to have a very solemn liturgy in our house, and, above all, we had scientific knowledge in the broadest sense, for many of our brethren were professors at the university. Since the last World War, however, that scientific interest has been declining, and we have focused our attention on the care for the soul, especially in the parishes. From the beginning, in 1138, when the Premonstratensians came here, we tended 3 parishes, Wilten, Parish and Abbeys. Today, we tend 23. This is a great burden, as we look after nearly 15% of the whole diocese. A truly heavy task, as monastic life is therefore always a little in danger.
Detached from the Abbey chapel, though still near the monastery, lies one of the most beautiful parish churches to be tended by the Norbertines. It is the oldest Rococo church in Austria and was built sometime between 1751 and 1756. This church is considered to be a personal monument to the abbot of the time, Busjäger. However, the cost involved brought the monastery into great financial difficulties, with the result that the abbot was forced to resign.
What does parish work look like in our modern times? Apostolation can only be realized and observed there where the Premonstratensian becomes a member of the community, where he shares the fate of the people, where he takes part in their suffering and sees every need. And what seems also very important is that we do not overlook the youth. Now, Wilten has always been a leader in this. Moreover, a lively pastoral contact should take place between the monks in the monastery and the pastoral workers in the parishes. In particular, our community should demonstrate what the church could look like in the future, namely, to be a close-knit community where each is there for his brothers.
Könnt ihr nicht einmal statt diesem Sinnlosen in sich hineinglotzen?
Herrscher, was soll denn das? Jeder ist da meiner Meinung, von so etwas kann man nicht leben, da immer nur Träumereien von neuen Zielen. Und was soll man essen?
Ich will Gott preisen Tag für Tag. Sein Lob sei stets in meinem Munde. Ich will dich rühmen, mein Gott und König. Deinen Namen preisen immer und ewig. Will Tag und Tag dich preisen. Deinen Namen loben immer und ewig. Groß ist der Herr und hoch zu loben. Unerforschlich ist seine Größe. Dein Geschlecht rühmt deine Werke im Allem und kündet seine gewaltigen Taten. Sie sollen rühmen den herrlichen Glanz deiner Hoheit und deine Wunder besingen. Sie sollen rühmen die Gewalt deiner Taten und von deiner soll das Gedenken deiner großen Güte wecken und über deine Gerechtigkeit jubeln. Der Herr ist gnädig und barmherzig, langmütig und reich an Erbarmen.
Naturally, there are tensions and problems. Those outside, so to speak, those in the front lines, believe they are carrying out the main action, the fight of the world, while the others sit in contemplation and meditation in the monastery. On the other hand, those who, year in, year out, lead such a very regulated monastic life could say, those outside live too much as individualists. They can do as they please. Here we are bound to a very strict daily schedule and existence. These tensions do therefore often exist, and in point of fact, cannot be totally eliminated. Our monastery is most beautifully appointed. At once, of course, the question arises, how can one live a life of poverty in such a monastery? Well, I would like to give a comparison. A piece of art is enjoyed by he who has the gift to perceive and absorb it. Well, it is the same in our monastery. While staying here, we can be so influenced for it to affect our inner lives. But in reality, I cannot in that sense bite off the beauty of the walls, as they say here in Tyrol. Yet the main thing is that I experience poverty in my spirit. And to me it seems important that we notice around us the need, the spiritual need, that our hearts are open to this need, and that together we deliberate on how to help these people. I am firmly convinced that we must again and again be urged to live humbly and simply, for only this will appeal today.